Dear Daedalus friends and family, we're here in the Middle East at Saudi Arabia attending HIMSS Middle East, and I have with me James Norman from Pure Storage.
Hi Sam, great to be here, thank you.
Good to see you. So look, we are having a dialogue with all our friends and family with just a few small set of questions. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
So usually the first question we like to kick off with is, so what brings you here? What brings you to the Middle East today?
So the Middle East is one of those areas that we see as expanding in healthcare. There's been an awful lot of investment going into setting up collaborative systems, bringing in new EMRs. You can tell that the ethos around healthcare is really changing. People want to bring in new systems. Obviously, from a pure storage perspective, we're looking at new markets that we can go into, but also we're looking at areas where people are invested in transforming healthcare, not just changing what they have, but looking to really innovate. And that's certainly the case with the Middle East.
It's great. Yeah, transformation is definitely the way forward. So James, what do you consider, what do you think you're most excited about when it comes to healthcare's digital transformation path that is sort of set ahead of us?
Well, first, I wouldn't even say digital transformation, because digital is healthcare now.
Right.
You cannot really do healthcare without it being on an electronic system. So we're talking about transformation.
Yeah.
When I started 34 years ago,
Wow.
It was all about how could we get to that joined up connected record? How could we get systems to talk to each other? We're almost there, it's taken a little while,
Yeah.
but now it's about how can we take advantage of the collaborative working, the communication, the movement of data. How can we improve on patient outcomes? And actually, that's what really excites me the most about this. When we talk about digitalisation of healthcare, I personally think about what a hard word that is to say, but also about the outcomes it's going to deliver. So, that's for me.
That's right. And yes, it is a difficult word to say as well, I agree. So James, what do you think will happen in the next 5 years? What do you think is going to change in the industry?
That's a very good question. So we've already seen the implementation of EMRs, the collaborative platforms. They're now becoming the mainstream in terms of adoption. People recognise that to be able to transform the way they provide healthcare, they have to have these electronic systems that talk to each other. Now we're moving to that next stage where we're bringing in more artificial intelligence algorithms to wayfind, to support clinical diagnosis. As we move forward, I think we're going to see more and more of the clinical aspects being taken over by AI. Don't get me wrong, clinicians are going to be there giving an overview. It's going to be the minor cases, not the more complex. But
Right.
that decision support, we're already starting to see come in. So give it 5 years, I can see patients being able to get online diagnosis, referred to consultants, fast track through the system,
Right.
everything talking to each other. And, I hold my fingers together because I want to see greater use of the medical data in terms of being able to use that for new diagnosis and research as well.
Yes, it's certainly an exciting path we have ahead of us.
Oh yes, absolutely, yes. It's one I can't wait to see.
Yeah, good. So James, as a last question, I'm always curious, what do you think has changed in the industry since those years and years ago that you started? What do you think is the difference between those years and now?
Well, there's a few things around actual implementation systems and improvements in efficiency.
Yeah.
But actually, the big thing for me has been the culture,
Right.
and it's been the willingness to adopt new technologies to help shape and improve patient outcomes. When I started a long time ago, many years, all the systems were very broken, disjointed. People weren't talking to each other. There was the implementation of foundation trusts in the UK. We saw, across different regions, different broken systems. 20 years, we've kind of brought them together, tried to improve the flow, create pathways of care for patients. We've got a long way to go, don't get me wrong, but those are probably some of the biggest I've seen. Now, how technology has helped that is, it's drastically improved, the flow and the improvements in terms of the sharing of data. But also, from a clinician perspective, the visibility of history, the ability to get second diagnosis or second opinion from a colleague, or share an image, and instantly get some information back to help improve the decision that they're making and the diagnosis they're making. We're reducing clinical risk, we're improving patient outcomes, but we're also supporting the clinicians in being able to carry out their roles, which as we move forward, and we know it's becoming more and more challenging with new drugs coming out, new treatments, having that capability is going to be absolutely critical.
Great. Thanks for that. Just one last thing. I know this is one of the questions we've asked a few of our friends and family, and that is, you've obviously been in the industry for a long time. If you were to give advice to somebody who's starting out in the industry, what would be, if you can, maybe one or two things that you would say to them?
Well, it's a great industry to come into. I started out from the health side and moved into the technology side, and I've never looked back from it because of the impact that you can actually make implementing new capabilities and new systems to transform care. Find someone who is willing to continue to innovate. That would be one of my big ones. Don't get stuck in a rut with people who just, they don't want to move forward. They find the niche and they try to exploit it, and they don't move. Always keep on top of new technologies. See what you can bring forward and get a company that will work with you to help develop and build those systems out. That would be my advice.
That's great. That's great advice. Thanks, James. Really happy to see you here.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. Great to be here.
Next year. All the best.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you.